Inside this video, we share the beautiful words of John 6 verses 16 to 21. Stay with us. Following the gospel, we'll share a heart-to-heart reflection. Beyond the wages, Jesus walk with us through our darkest fears. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. When evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea rose because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 to 4 miles, or about 5 kilometers, they saw Jesus walking on the sea and drawing near to the boat. They were frightened, but he said to them, "It is I. Do not be afraid." Then they were glad to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat was at the land to which they were going. Beyond the wages, Jesus walked with us through our darkest fears.
Hey everyone, and welcome. We all have those moments of fear, right? Those times when the sun goes down and suddenly our worries just feel bigger. Well, today, we're going to dive into a really powerful story that reminds us that even when we feel like we're all alone, Jesus is so much closer than we could ever imagine. Let's get into it. So let's just start right there with you. What storm are you facing today, right now? We've all got one. It's that thing that kind of keeps you up at night, that little worry that just sits there in the back of your mind. Just putting a name to it, that's the first step. And listen, a storm doesn't have to be some giant hurricane. A lot of the time, it's a bill you're not quite sure how you're going to pay. Or maybe it's a tense conversation you need to have with someone you love. For our kids, it can be something as simple and as real as being afraid of the dark. These are the waves of our modern life, aren't they? Okay, so let's set the scene for our story. It starts with the disciples doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing. They were following Jesus' instructions. And this is so important. Sometimes storms show up even when we are on the exact right path. I want you to really picture this. A tiny wooden boat on this huge, dark sea. There's no moon. They are working so hard, rowing against the wind, and the one person they are counting on, Jesus, well, he's nowhere to be seen. Have you ever felt like that? Just working and working, feeling like you are completely on your own? That is exactly where the disciples were. 4 miles. I mean, think about that. They had been rowing for hours, giving it everything they had. In our lives, this is our hard work, our effort. It's what we might call our wages. So often, we think that our own sweat and our own struggle is the only thing that's going to save us. But Jesus is about to show them, and us, that there's a much better way. And then something absolutely incredible happens. A figure starts walking toward them in the darkness. It's Jesus. And he's not in another boat. He is literally walking right on top of the very waves that were terrifying them. He is standing on their fear. And then he speaks. And these are some of the most powerful words in the entire Bible. It is I. Do not be afraid. It's this voice of pure calm, total authority that just cuts right through the noise of the wind and the crashing water. It's the voice that changes everything. Now, hold on, because this is so much deeper than just an introduction. When Jesus says, "It is I," in the original language, he's actually saying, "I am." This is the sacred name for God himself. So he's not just saying, "Hey, it's me." He's declaring the creator of the entire universe, the one who put the stars in the sky. I'm right here with you in this little boat. And the moment he steps into that boat, the journey is over. They're immediately on the shore. This is such a brilliant picture of the transformation, isn't it? When we finally let Jesus into our struggle, he doesn't just help us row a little better. He brings us to a place of peace and safety way faster than we ever could on our own. So here's the crucial part. They had to want to take him into the boat. He didn't force his way in. And this is the moment where their story becomes our story. How do we, in our own families, in our own homes, actively invite that same peace into our storms? It's actually pretty simple. First, you name your fear. Just say it out loud. Is it about money? A relationship? Second, you have to quiet all the other noise and just listen for his voice, that calm reassurance that says, "Do not be afraid." And third, you make the invitation. You verbally ask him into that specific situation. And the contrast here is just so clear, isn't it? Our own effort, all our rowing, it's filled with stress and uncertainty. We just get so tired. But Jesus' presence, that brings peace, safety, and a real sense of direction. It's the difference between fighting the storm and being carried right through it. Here is such a beautiful, practical way to do this every single day. As a family, maybe right before bed, you can share this simple prayer together. It becomes this daily ritual that reminds everyone in the house, from the youngest to the oldest, where your true safety really comes from. And remember, the disciples were in that boat together, and so are we. As a family, as a community, we can help each other row when we're tired. We can be the one to remind someone else to just stop and listen, for that calm voice above the waves. We're a crew, and we face the storm together. So as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one question. Not a whole list of fears, just one. What is the one storm, the one wave, that you will consciously invite Jesus into tonight? Okay, let's just do a quick recap of the big lessons from this amazing story. First, Jesus is always watching, even when it feels dark. Second, our biggest fears are literally under his feet. Third, his words, "Do not be afraid," are our anchor in the storm. And finally, the choice is ours. We have to actively invite him into our boat. Thank you so much for joining us and walking through this today. If this message connected with you, maybe think about sharing it with someone you know who might be navigating their own storm. We'll see you next time.